On July 1, 2023, in the Huaxia calendar, the Douluo Continent collided with the Huaxia Kingdom, completely merging. All people, regardless of gender, age, awakened their martial souls and became soul warriors. Yi Lei, 18 years old, unexpectedly gained the system during the national Douluo transformation and gained his strength in Douluo mobile games. He awakened blue silver grass and became a soul emperor with 6 eternal soul rings. Let me make a statement in advance. This is my first time writing a novel, and I apologize for any shortcomings. If you think there are any, please let me know and I will make changes based on your feedback. If you think the work is good, please add it to the bookshelf and follow me. Thank you. Chapter 1. Awakening. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Early morning, urgent notice. Last night, a sudden change occurred across the country, and the Douluo Continent game dimension collided with the real world, causing everything to appear in reality. People over 6 years old have awakened their martial souls, and soul beasts are present in various regions. Please be careful when traveling. This report ends on our channel. Yi Lei was lost in thought as he watched the TV report, and suddenly a ding rang out in his mind. The system is awakening. The system has successfully awakened. The system, it's actually a system, that kind of system that exists in novels. I'm actually the chosen child. Yi Lei exclaimed. As a seasoned internet novel enthusiast, Yi Lei hopes to have a system every day, but he never expected his dream to come true today. Now giving the host the Awakening gift pack, as it is a game-dimensional fusion reality with soul beasts crisscrossing, will give the host all the strength in the Douluo Continent Soul Master Duel game. Yi Lei was surprised. He was very clear about his strength in the game, as he ranked among the top 5 in that server. But the next sentence from the system almost made Yi Lei curse on the spot. But you need to complete a series of tasks to give the host full strength. Yi Lei. Silent Sun, but we can give the host all the strength of your blue silver grass. Upon hearing these words, Yi Lei's mood, which had fallen to the bottom, instantly perked up. After all, blue silver grass can be attacked, controlled, and defended. It's not too strong, okay. The system is large. What is the task? System. Are you really not going to evolve your face? The first task is to hunt soul rings for 10 ordinary people. As it is a game dimension, the year of soul rings is not limited, but it is best not to exceed 1,000 years. So simple. Yes, the first task was a piece of cake for Yi Lei, but the only difficulty was not being able to determine the year I mentioned. I was most afraid that the year of the soul ring being hunted would be too high, and the beneficiaries would not be able to bear the risk of being destroyed by anti-erosion and explosion, which would ruin their previous efforts. Please rest assured that I will provide you with a soul beast detector, which can detect the location of the soul beast and the year of the soul ring, ensuring that the host will not make any mistakes. You didn't say it earlier. You didn't ask me either. Forget it, I won't argue with you anymore. Is there a time limit for the task? No. Oh, by the way, besides me, what are their martial souls? Are they random? These are all random, but their levels are all level 10, but they all have the possibility of awakening various martial souls. Yi Lei thought for a moment and realized that everyone else is at level 10, which means I can easily find 10 people on the street to complete my tasks. However, whether they will believe me is a question. Wait, you should believe me. The system is big, is it there? What's going on? Can you give me the blue silver grass now? If not, how can I complete the task? Buzz. The soul power injection ceremony begins. Please prepare the host and start the countdown. 10.9.8.7.6.5 in Yi Lei. Nanny, is this the beginning? Can't you tell me earlier about the system? System. You didn't ask me either. Yi Lei. Speechless. 4.3.2.1, time is up, start injecting. a blue light accompanied by a scream lit up. P.S. Pre-declaration let me say it here. This novel is my first one. If there are any shortcomings in writing, you can comment on me in that section. I will make revisions as soon as I see them. This is my first time writing, and I need the advice of readers. Writing novels is also a personal effort. As a student party member, I was first exposed to novels. Therefore, if there is anything bad about the plot, setting, and character description that your readers cannot accept, as long as you speak it out, I will definitely make changes. If it doesn't work once, then make changes twice until the readers are satisfied. I am Su Yenny, respected. I hope readers can support me. I will definitely get better and better, and so will novels, and so will you. Chapter 2. Han Nuan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 10 minutes later. The blue light in the room gradually dissipated, and a large-shaped figure appeared. Yi Lei slowly opened his beautiful eyes, and in an instant, a blue light flashed through them. Get up slowly. Yi Lei opened his hands and looked, feeling that his body was full of strength. With a movement of his mind, a blue grass appeared in his palm, and at the same time, 6 black lights flickered at the same time, in a room in Mingyuan Garden. The girl lying in bed opened her jade eyes and listened to the cries outside the door. She frowned and got up, pushed the door open, and walked out. With a puzzled expression on her face, she shouted, "Mom, Dad." Looking at Imu in front of her, she almost kicked her legs and fainted. The 2 people in front of me, one red and one black, were at a loss and spoke weakly, "Dad, Mom." "Xiao Nuan, you're awake. What's going on?" The girl named Han Nuan, who is 18 years old and is currently slacking off at home during summer vacation, was awakened by her parents who were planning to play chess for 300 rounds. She looked at her parents with a helpless expression. "Sorry, Xiaoyu, I woke you up," said Han Kachin, looking at his precious daughter. "I don't know either. When I woke up, it was just like this. The TV station just reported it, and your mother and I tried it out, and that's all," Han Kachin said. Han Nuan couldn't figure it out and tilted her head to look at her own Tai Shang Lao Jun, her eyes full of confusion. It wasn't until Tai Shang Lao Jun nodded that she believed her father's words. Then she said, "I'll go out later and ask my classmates what's going on." "Mom, do you have breakfast? I'm hungry." After that, she walked towards the restaurant, and Han Tai followed closely behind. Yi Lei looked at the blue-silver grass in his hand and then asked, "The system is big, is there anything else to pay attention to?" Because after the fusion of the 2 worlds, some things have been changed, such as RMB being invalidated and replaced by gold soul coin. Is it so good, Yi Lei thought to himself. The system is big, how many gold soul coins do I have? 1 million. Not bad, quite good. I can be considered a millionaire. By the way, host, the soul beast detector has been installed on the left hand, please check it. Upon hearing this, Yi Lei lifted his left hand and a precise instrument caught his eye. This detector can detect soul beasts within a radius of 100 meters. Once a soul beast appears, it will sound an alarm and calculate the year of the soul ring. Listening to the system's description, Yi Lei looked at the instrument in his hand and couldn't help but exclaim, "It's really good. With this thing, completing the task will be easy." As he spoke, a seal broke the silence. Yi Lei took out his phone and looked at the flashing 2 characters on the screen. He then turned around and went to the room to change his clothes. Without stopping his hand, he answered the phone. Meanwhile, the military in Rongcheng was in a noisy conference room. "What do you think about this matter?" A solemn voice rang out, and the originally noisy conference room suddenly quieted down when Yi Lei was on the road. He was thinking about something in his heart. He didn't deliberately cultivate the blue-silver grass in the game, which resulted in low years of soul rings. It seems that he has started to cultivate it. Thinking about it, I arrived downstairs in a luxurious residential area. Yi Lei looked up and took out his phone to send a message. In a certain room upstairs, the girl looked at her parents in front of her, then at her phone, stood up and said to them before leaving the door. Chapter 3. Meeting Parents. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The girl looked down from the window and saw the familiar figure. She smiled and turned to enter the elevator. Yi Lei. Upon hearing this, Yi looked up and saw a sexy figure, walking up with a smile. Nuaner. The girl in front of Yi Lei was Han Nuan. Someone wanted to pinch Han Nuan's small face, but was slapped open by the latter. Don't make a fuss. Someone who didn't succeed could only reluctantly withdraw their hand. What's wrong? You called me over early in the morning. Yi Lei asked. Have you watched the news? Look, what's wrong? Go up and talk, my parents are also here. Okay. Nanny. Can we not go up? No way. The girl turned her head and glared, and someone had to follow her into the elevator in frustration. The sound of opening the door rang out, and Han Kachin and his wife stood up to watch. The two of them who entered through the door saw a tall figure following behind their own daughter. At this moment, they looked like a child who had made a mistake, lowered their head, and instinctively called out, Dad, Mom. Feeling stung by a family of three, Yi Lei hurriedly changed his words, Uncle, Auntie. Han Kachin looked at his own cabbage and asked, Is this my boyfriend? Han Nuan replied. Yi Lei, who was named, nodded, and then Han Nuan pinched the soft flesh from his waist. Is it okay to be normal? Okay, Yi Lei dared not say a word. Han's father looked at Yi Lei, who had been obediently trained by his own daughter, and felt a wave of sympathy in his heart. Okay, to get to the point, parents, let go of that. Han Nuan said. Han's father and his wife glanced at him, then their thoughts moved, and two bright lights appeared, one black and one red. Yi Lei exclaimed, the fire attribute soul fire horn rhinoceros and the dark attribute soul ghost panther are two top-notch items. What does that mean? Han's father, standing behind a fiery red rhinoceros, looked at Yi Lei puzzled. Uncle, your martial soul is a fire-horned rhinoceros with fire attributes, which has extremely strong defense and can be attacked or defended, making it a rare masterpiece. Yi Lei said and looked at Han Mu again, and Ant's martial soul is a dark attribute ghost leopard with extremely fast speed. Watching Han's father and mother nod, he turned to ask Han Nuan. Nuaner, what is your martial soul? Suddenly named, Han Nuan was taken aback and said, I don't know. Give it a try. Okay. After speaking, Han Nuan's heart twitched, and an icy blue light lit up. At the same time, a chill surged towards the other three people's spiritual covers, and an icy blue bird appeared on Han Nuan's shoulder. Ice Phoenix. The ultimate in beast martial soul. Yi Lei blurted out. Ice Phoenix, it sounds very strong. Oh, by the way, what about yours, Yi Lei? Han Nuan said. Plant-based martial soul blue silver grass. Yi Lei returned. At this moment, the system rang. Host, please be aware that you still have tasks to attend to. Don't chat anymore. Yi Lei. NMD, didn't you see me talking to my future father.in.law and mother.in.law, rolling calf. System. MD, you are aloof. Oh yes, I'll take you to hunt soul beasts and obtain soul rings later. Soul beast, soul ring, what is it? Strengthening the martial soul. Just watch from the side, Yi Lei said. Yi Lei thought for a moment, and Han Fu's martial soul has a fire attribute. Level 10 is too weak, so he needs a defensive soul skill to protect himself. And Han Mu's martial soul is the ghost leopard, which focuses on a quick attack. That requires a soul beast with strong cutting power and fast speed. If it's warm, a bird soul beast is enough. After sharing his thoughts with everyone, Yi Lei unanimously decided to go hunting soul beasts now. System. Silent, finally gone, all the flowers I've been waiting for have withered. Chapter 4. Hunting, Grass Soul. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. 10 minutes later, downstairs from Mingyuan Garden. Yi Lei looked at the three people behind him and asked, "Are you ready?" The three people behind said in unison. "Okay, let's go," Yi Lei said. An hour and a half later, the riverside forest. "Here we go, Nuan. It's best for you to activate your martial soul, just in case." After speaking, 3 types of light emerged from behind. Red, blue, and black. Just as Yi Lei and his companions were walking deep into the forest, a series of shouts suddenly rang out in front of them. "Monster, run!" Upon hearing these words, Yi Lei immediately became interested and rushed over with the other 3 people. When there was still over 100 meters left, the detector in Yi Lei's hand rang out. "Ding, we found a soul beast ahead, a 500-year scaled armored beast. At the right time, it happened that my father-in-law needed a defensive soul ring." However, Yi Lei did not say the following sentence. "When we arrived, we saw a soul beast the size of a small car wreaking havoc in front of us. Its body was mainly yellow, covered in green spikes and scales the size of fingernails. This was exactly the scale beast." Yi Lei turned to Han's father and said, "Uncle, prepare to absorb soul rings." After speaking, he walked straight towards the soul beast in front of him. Then, under the shocked gaze of Han Nuan and the others, a blue grass appeared in Yi Lei's hand. At the same time, 6 black circles rose from Yi Lei's feet and then suspended one by one around his waist. When the scaled armored beast in front saw Yi Lei, a hint of panic flashed in its eyes, and it turned around wanting to escape. Unfortunately, it encountered Yi Lei. I only heard Yi Lei slowly spit out a sentence. "If you want to run, there's no way, blue-silver grass entangles." As the words fell, a thick blue-silver grass emerged from the ground and instantly entangled the waist of the scaled armored beast. Blue-silver assault team. The scale armored beast that had just been entangled didn't have time to struggle when it was pricked by more than a dozen blue-silver grass that quickly rushed out of the ground. "Uncle, you can come over now." Han Fu, who had not yet regained his senses from the oppressive battle just now, slowly walked forward and looked at the dying scale armored beast. Subconsciously, he asked, "Is it really okay, Xiaolei?" "Don't worry, uncle, just give it another try," Yi Lei said. Upon hearing this, Han's father took the military dagger handed over by Yi Lei and stabbed it forcefully towards the neck of the scaled armored beast. A few seconds later, a yellow ring appeared above the soul beast. "Uncle, you need to use your mind to guide the soul ring." After hearing these words, Han's father quickly followed suit. In an instant, the soul ring slowly floated over, suspended in Han's waist, and then, with Yi Lei's understanding, sat on the spot to start absorbing the soul ring. After seeing Han's father absorbing soul rings, he called Han Yu and the others over. "What's wrong, Yi Lei, my dad?" Han Yu asked. "It's okay, Yuer. Uncle is absorbing soul rings, there won't be anything wrong," Yi Lei said. After hearing these words, Han Nuan felt relieved. "I called you over to hurry up and practice, so that you can absorb soul rings later." "Oh, okay," Han Nuan and the others replied. Seeing this scene, Yi Lei also sat down as a protector for a family of 3. At this moment, the sound of the system rang in Yi Lei's mind. Once the task is completed, January 10th, please ask the host to continue working hard. I wish the host a speedy completion of the task. Chapter 5. Beast Soul. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Riverside Forest. A ray of sunlight shone down through the leaves, hitting the heads of 4 people. Yi Lei, who was meditating, was pricked by the sunlight. He opened his phoenix eyes, shook his head, and stood up. Yi Lei looked at the three people meditating on the ground, looked at the body of a scaled armored beast as big as a small car in the distance, and walked over. Watching the body of the scaled armored beast pierced by his own blue-silver grass, the ground was already soaked in the blood of the soul beast. Yi Lei walked up to the head of the scaled armored beast, took out a dagger from his waist, and stabbed it towards its head. Little did they know that their actions from killing the scaled armored beast to now were recorded by a person wearing a uniform Rongqing military. In an office, an elderly man with white hair sat at his desk, took a sip of tea, put down his tablet, and said to the security guard, "Ask someone to bring me the person in the video, I want to see him." The guard nodded slightly and took a step forward, holding the tablet and walking out. The protagonist in that video was just fighting in the forest, Indiana. 10 minutes. Yi Lei looked at the three people in front of him who were almost simultaneously opening their eyes, and couldn't help but be stunned. Is the family really so synchronized? Staring blankly at the girl beside me, the girl seemed to notice someone biting someone and saying, "Look at what I'm doing, there's nothing on my face." Hee hee, Yi Lei scratched his head and smiled. "By the way, uncle, this is for you." Yi Lei handed it over and suddenly, a emerald green bead entered the sight of the three of them. "Is this?" Father Han was puzzled. "This is a beast soul, used to enhance the strength of soul rings. It's just the lowest level, which can be obtained by killing stronger soul beasts in the future," said Yi Lei. Han's father nodded, took the beast soul, and put it in his pocket. Have you all rested?" Yi Lei asked. The other three nodded in sync again. "Yi Lei. Why can you synchronize so seamlessly?" Woo. System. Please don't lose heart, maybe it will be fine in the future. Yi Lei. You don't have to say I know, the dog system. System. Return to reality. Yi Lei constantly looked at the detector in his hand. Suddenly, a small head crawled out from under Yi Lei's left armpit. Yi Lei instinctively withdrew his hand and then let out a painful cry from under his armpit. "Oh, you hurt me, you big pig hoof." Yi Lei looked at the small head that had crawled out of his armpit and smiled helplessly, pinching Nuan's small face. Someone holding their wife behind them looked at the two people playing around in front of them, feeling strange in their hearts. They had an impulse to have their martial soul possessed and charge up to beat up the pig who was attacking their own cabbage. However, the thought of the scaly armored beast dispelled this idea. Scaled armored beast. Thank you for remembering me. On the side, Han's mother seemed to see the thoughts of her own man and pinched Han's father's palm. Han's father looked at his daughter helplessly, then smiled at his wife. One afternoon, while Yi Lei was hunting a soul beast for his mother-in-law, he also helped 4 passers-by obtain soul rings and completed the system task on June 10. Next, he only needed to help Han Nuan and 3 passers-by. After sending Han Nuan and his family to Mingyuan community, Yi Lei was thinking about something and felt like he was being monitored today. Thinking about it, he went to his doorstep. However, what he didn't notice was that there was a medicinal smell permeating the entire corridor at this moment. He thought it was the traditional Chinese medicine flavor cooked by the old man next door, so he didn't think much about it. At the moment when Yi Lei inserted the key into the lock, a black headband wrapped around his head. Before he could resist, a heavy knife struck his back neck. Yi Lei had originally thought of only using one knife. How could he knock himself out of being the 6th ring Soul Emperor? However, he didn't expect that as soon as his right hand grabbed it backwards, he felt powerless and limp all over. At this moment, he realized that the smell he smelled in the hallway was not a traditional Chinese medicine, but clearly a highly hallucinogenic toxin. System. Host, I'm sorry, I can't help you one night without a word the next day. PS. In this chapter, why the male protagonist was knocked unconscious by a soul warrior with only a level 10 sword will be explained later. Readers should not dwell on this. Senior Su Jingshang. Chapter 6. 10 Elders, 7 Elders. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next day. In a dark room. The boy was bound to a chair in all sorts of ways. A series of footsteps echoed from far to near, and the lights in the room were turned on. Suddenly, the boy's face was illuminated by the lights, and a dozen or so people walked into the room, fully armed. "It's Yilei." Seeing that Yilei had no response, the leader gave a glance to the person next to him. The person understood and turned to the corner of the room to use a faucet to fetch water. After a while, the person returned to the leader with a bucket of water. Seeing him nod, they walked up to Yilei with the bucket. Immediately, a bucket of water was thrown over Yilei's head. Cough cough. Yilei shook his head and opened his phoenix eyes. After seeing the scene in front of him clearly, he loudly questioned, "Who are you, where is this, and why are you catching me?" Looking at Yilei, who was throwing 3 deadly questions in front of him, the leader just said expressionlessly, "Our elders want to see you." When Yilei heard the leader mention the word elder, a hint of doubt flashed in his eyes. He wanted to break out, but he looked at more than a dozen fully armed soldiers and smiled helplessly. "I want to run, but I don't want to be beaten into a honeycomb system. Host, have you forgotten that I still exist?" Yilei. NMD, it didn't appear long ago, but it happens now. Can you tell me what exactly happened and who they are? System. This matter is a bit complicated. Subsequently, Yilei began to listen to the system's narration. At the same time, Mingyuan Garden. Han Nuan woke up in his own room and walked out to see his parents who had risen early to practice. He smiled and walked up to Han's mother, sweetly calling out, "Mom, I'm hungry." Han's mother, who had been pulled back to reality, looked at her daughter and smiled helplessly, Okay, Mom, go and do it for you now." After saying, "Thank you, Mom," Han Nuan coquettishly rubbed his mother's shoulder. All right, don't be coquettish with your mother. If you want to be coquettish, go find Yilei." "Mom, why are you doing this? You're starting to drive your own daughter out. Besides, Yilei is just like a piece of wood. A certain place, a certain room, someone in Rongcheng. Azu, who the hell is cursing me? Military." Yilei looked at dozens of people in the room, feeling very helpless. After an unknown amount of time, a person came in outside the door and said something to the leader. They heard a loud shout from outside. "Xiao Xiong, Xiao Chang has arrived." Yilei was momentarily stunned. Xiao Xiong, elder, is he the 7th elder among the top 10 elders in the country? But why does he want to see me? At this moment, an old man with white hair walked into the door. Elder 7 looked at Yilei, who had been tied up in various ways, and said helplessly to his subordinates, "I asked you to bring him back, why tie him up? Tell me, why do you want to see me?" Yilei asked. "This is you," said Elder 7, taking a tablet from his subordinates and holding it in front of Yilei. Yilei looked at the person in the tablet as if he was hunting a scaled armored beast. "You monitor me," Yilei said angrily. "All right, the matter is important. Someone, let's loosen the young man's ties. It's true, I asked you to hire someone, but I didn't ask you to tie someone up." Chapter 7. Accompanying Burial. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just as the leader untied Yilei, Elder 7 spoke up. "I asked them to bring you over to ask you something. What's going on? What is your opinion on the world's Douluo culture?" Elder 7 asked. I really don't know how to say this." Yilei was stopped by Elder 7. "Tell me, what was the black ring hanging around your waist when you killed that monster? And why did that monster want to turn around and run when it saw you?" Elder 7 spat out a series of questions like a machine gun. Yilei. Silent, doesn't this old man need to catch his breath when talking? Speaking more fluently than a young man like me, Elder 7. Please, I am the 7th ranked elder, okay? 5 minutes after Yilei had just finished talking about everything, and looking at the expressions on the faces of the 7 elders that I understood, he breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, he had finished speaking, almost mentioning that I had a system. System. I really thank you. Ding, host, I have one more thing to tell you. The sound of the system appeared in Yi Lei's mind at an inappropriate time. Go ahead and make a long story short. Alright, it's like this. In the game, each soul master only has the first 4 soul skills that can be used, and the rest of the soul skills are all passive. However, now that it's integrated with the real world, every martial soul can use soul skills normally. Upon hearing this, Yi Lei exclaimed to Nice. If that's the case, he might end up hanging up like Tang San. Oh, no, he might even hang up like Tang San. Because I am bound to the Douluo game system, I can have all the martial souls that the game already has, which is countless times stronger than others. By the way, Elder Shao, I don't know what your martial soul is yet. Can I ask the younger generation to appreciate it? Yi Lei thought of something and suddenly asked Elder 7. Okay, let me show you. Elder 7 was very generous after speaking. A red light burst out from within the body of the 7 elders. Seeing Yi Lei here, he immediately frowned. The red light dissipated, and at this moment, a long stick appeared in the hands of Elder 7. On the stick, a giant dragon lay on its back, with a fierce gleam in its eyes. The martial soul of Elder 7 is exactly the coiled dragon stick. It seems that I'm right. Among the top 10 elders, Elder 6 and Elder 7 are always twins. Now that I know Elder 7's martial soul is a coiled dragon stick, Elder 6 must also be. Young man, there's something I need you to handle, are you willing? Listening to Elder 7's words, Yi Lei suddenly felt uneasy. What's the matter? Please tell Elder 7 clearly. Come and be our advisor to the Elders' Hall, we can give you honor and endless wealth. Elder 7 looked at Yi Lei. If I say no, I enjoy living the life I love and don't want to join any Elders' Hall. Besides, I am still a student. If there's nothing else, please let me go back, Elder Shao. Since you don't want to come to our Elders' Hall, then you have no use for it. By the way, your little girlfriend and her family will disappear into this world with you. Do you want to stop considering it? Elder 7 chuckled to himself. Dare you, if you dare to touch their family, I will have you buried with me. That's not necessarily true, because you haven't lived long. You guys should kill him for me, go ahead. You forced me. Watching the people in the room simultaneously raise their guns and aim at Yi Lei. Fire. The 4th soul skill, blue-silver. Prison. At the moment of the gunshot, a huge cage surrounded Yi Lei, and the bullets hit it without causing anything. They fell to the ground one by one, making a clanging sound. Next, it's me, the 5th soul skill, the blue-silver overlord spear. Yi Lei's voice sounded cold. A cold light swept across the entire room. Chapter 8. My bottom line, you can't touch it. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a cold light flashed, Elder 7 stared blankly at everything in front of him. Because all of his subordinates were cut off by the waist, and the ground was covered in corpses, with blood spraying throughout the entire room. Elder 7 looked at the person in front of him as if he had seen a devil. Yi Lei looked at Elder 7 covered in blood stains and slowly said, remember, my bottom line, you can't touch it. After finishing speaking, he rushed out with a blue-silver overlord gun. Watching Yi Lei's gradually disappearing figure, Elder 7 finally regained his composure. After a moment, he took out an unknown phone from his pocket, found a number, and dialed it. After 2 beeps, an old and majestic voice rang out. What's wrong, brother? While searching for the exit, Yi Lei encountered several soldiers. Without waiting for them to come forward, he immediately knocked them unconscious with blue-silver grass. When he rushed to the door, the guards dared not stop him because they received a reminder from the captain. Do not stop a person holding a blue spear, unless you want to be split in half. After rushing out of the military headquarters, Yi Lei used his soul power to start flying towards the city center. At the same time, after hearing his younger brother's words, the sixth elder in Shu City looked embarrassed. After thinking for a moment, he said to the seventh elder, "Next, don't provoke him. I'll go talk to the elder later and discuss countermeasures. Now, let's practice." Before the seventh elder could reply, he hung up the phone. Elder 7 looked at the already black screen of his phone, turned around and left the room, then asked someone to clean up the mess in the room. The few people who came in afterwards looked at the scene in front of them, dumbfounded. At noon, in the city center, a large number of soul beasts suddenly appeared in the vast city, crazily destroying the city, constantly hearing people's screams and cries for help. As Yi Lei was about to enter the city center, the soul beast detector on his left suddenly made a constant beep-beep sound. For some unknown reason, Yi Lei raised his left hand and frowned. A red exclamation mark flickered on the detector, and below it was a line of words. Beast tide found ahead, number unknown, year unknown. Ding, the host has triggered a side quest. Please face the beast tide alone and complete the quest with a reward of Tangmen's unique learning. The system's voice rang out. Upon hearing number 39, Tang's Sex Ultimate Learning, after 4 words, Yi Lei bounced up and charged directly towards the place where the beast tide occurred. At this moment, Nuan and his family were strolling around the mall, completely unaware of the bloody scene outside. Suddenly, there was turbulence at the entrance of the shopping mall, with occasional screams of agony. What's the situation? Nuan and his group, who heard the commotion, walked out of the store and were immediately shocked. This. Why do soul beasts appear in the city? There are so many. Nuan was startled and his chin dropped. With the continuous influx of soul beasts, the entrance of the shopping mall was crushed. Suddenly, a king of the earth sprayed a fireball with a diameter of 1 meter towards Nuan. Watching the fireball come and go, the people behind Nuan couldn't dodge and said, "It's over." But they heard one sentence. The first soul skill, the protection of the fire rhinoceros. A fiery red shield appeared in front of a man, blocking the fireball. That person was Han's father. After blocking the attack of the king of the earth, Han's mother also rushed forward. The first soul skill, the ghost blade. I saw Han Mu's hands firing 10 claw blades forward, heading straight towards the head of the king of the earth. Click. The sound of a broken head sounded, and the head of the king of the earth instantly spewed out a large amount of dark green blood. The king of the earth, perish. Han's mother successfully took 1 blood. Watching his parents start a battle, Nuan couldn't help but think that Yi Lei might help me obtain the soul ring. Thinking about it, a large group of soul beasts suddenly rushed towards us. The leading soul beasts unleashed their respective skills, and in an instant, 5 or 6 types of soul skills flew towards Nuan. Upon seeing this, Han's father cast his first soul skill again. This time, it was blocked, but Han's father's fire rhinoceros shield was shattered. At this moment, more soul beasts are attacking here. Chapter 9. Facing Alone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just as Han's first soul skill, the fire rhinoceros protector, was shattered, Han's father also vomited blood due to anti-erosion, fell to the ground, covered his chest, and vomited blood again. Dad. Husband. Nuan and Han's mother shouted at the same time, then rushed forward and helped Han's father up. Han's mother nervously asked, "Husband, what's wrong with you?" Han's father covered his chest and shook his head, indicating that he was okay. Waves of roaring came, and Nuan and the others looked up ahead. They saw a group of soul beasts rubbing their hands and preparing to tear them into pieces. Nuan's beautiful big eyes were no longer shining, and he spoke faintly, "Yi Lei, where are you?" At this moment, the group of soul beasts moved, and Nuan helplessly closed her eyes. Just as Nuan thought he was going to explain himself here today, the imagined attack did not come, and a voice came softly. The 4th soul skill, blue-silver, prison. Then, a series of collisions and the roar of soul beasts rang out, followed by the sound of friction. Nuan opened her eyes in surprise because she knew the sound was his. I saw a tall boy standing not far away. It's Yi Lei. At this moment, Yi Lei held up his right hand with an expressionless expression, but his heart was already burning with anger. He dared to harm his family and seek death. Yes, Yi Lei had already treated Han's father and mother as his own parents. You animals deserve to die for their sins. As he spoke, he shook his right hand and suddenly, the soul beasts imprisoned in the blue-silver cage were taken away by the sharp spikes of the blue-silver grass that pierced out of the cage. The light in his eyes slowly dissipated and he completely met the Yen Prince. Except for Nuan and the other three, everyone else widened their eyes and thought to themselves. Is this still human? After Yi Lei looked around and confirmed that there were no surviving soul beasts, he walked towards Han's father. Looking at the bloodstain on the corner of Han's father's mouth, he asked, "Uncle, are you okay?" Han's father shook his head and said, "I'm fine, I just feel a bit weak." "If it's okay, it's okay. Since that's the case, uncle and auntie, this is for you," he said as he magically pulled out 2 yellow chrysanthemums and handed them to Han's father and mother. This is the Chirong Tong Tian chrysanthemum, which has the miraculous effect of strengthening meridians and enhancing physical fitness. Just take its leaves and absorb them. Han's father and mother did not refuse either. After taking the fairy grass, they sat on the ground and began to absorb and cultivate it. At this moment, someone got angry and walked up to Yi Lei, reaching out their small hand and asking. "My parents both have it, why don't I?" Looking at Nuan, who was coquettish and cute in front of him, Yi Lei looked at her with a spoiled expression on his face. "How could it be without my little princess? It's just..." Before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted by Nuan. "Just what?" "Because you don't have a soul ring yet, absorbing fairy grass has no benefits but drawbacks. However, today you can obtain a soul ring. Because there are many here, let me look for them." "Well, this is good, it suits you quite well." As he spoke, he saw a dying big bird being dragged over by Yi Lei with a blue-silver grass around its neck. Its whole body was dark blue and it had steel-gray armor. This is a steel-winged blue-headed eagle, with a cultivation of just 1,000 years, very suitable for you. Although Yi Lei had just made a fierce move, he did not kill all the distant soul beasts. After all, he still had system tasks on him, and by the way, he could complete them so that he could recover all his strength as soon as possible. Yi Lei took out a dagger and handed it to Nuan. Without saying a word, the latter stabbed into the head of the steel-winged blue-headed eagle, sat on the ground, and guided the soul ring to start absorbing. During this period, Yi Lei helped most of the people on site obtain soul rings and successfully completed the system task. He also collected a large bag of beast souls of various qualities. As for how the immortal grass came about, it was a reward given by the system for killing 2 soul beasts that have been around for thousands of years. As for the soul rings, they were also collected into the system space using the soul ring collector provided by the system, which is a necessary item for strengthening soul rings. Of course, all the soul beasts and soul rings on site were collected by Yi Lei into the system space. At this moment, the system sound sounded. Congratulations to the host, you have successfully completed Task 1 and side quests. The system rewards have been placed in the system space, please check. After hearing this, Yi Lei smiled and then his mind moved. An ancient book and a fiery red ball appeared in his hand. There are 4 big characters written in ancient books. Tang Clan's Unique Learning. Chapter 10. Tangmen's Unique Learning. Purple Extreme Demon Eyes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After seeing Tangmen Ju Shui, Yi Lei became too excited and stomped on the ceramic tiles under his feet. Those around him who had not yet regained their senses trembled together, not daring to look at Yi Lei, afraid that he would cause trouble for himself next. Yi Lei didn't pay attention to one of his subconscious actions, which made others feel scared. His attention was all on the Tang sect's unique skills in his hand. Suddenly, Yi Lei remembered the fiery red ball in his hand, the size of his palm, and upon closer inspection, he could see that it was filled with the element of fire. Yi Lei couldn't think of anything and could only ask the system. The system is big, what is this thing and what is its use? Host, this is the fire element pill. Taking it can awaken a random fire attribute martial soul. Well, it's so good. I made a profit, but there are some fire attribute martial souls. Forget it, let's see luck. Speaking, Yi Lei took it down directly and just sat down. The fire element in the elemental pill instantly filled Yi Lei's body, causing the fire element to overflow. The person not far away was surprised to see this scene and said, "What's the situation? What's this monster up to? No matter what, my life is important. Run away." That's right, Yi Lei was called a monster by them half an hour later. The three of Han Nuan, who had completed their cultivation one after another, looked at each other. Han Nuan ran excitedly to his parents and said, "Dad, Mom, I have a soul ring." Then he directly activated the martial soul. Han's father and mother felt a chill rising from the soles of their feet, and an icy phoenix spiraled up, flapping wings behind Han Nuan. A pale purple soul ring rose from Han Nuan's feet and then stopped at his waist. Han's father was surprised and said, "What is this?" Yi Lei said, "This is a steel-winged blue-headed eagle that has just entered 1,000 years old, very suitable for me." Han Nuan said proudly. At this moment, a heat wave came and directly covered up the chill released by Han Nuanchi. The three of them turned their heads and saw Yi Lei sitting on the ground not far away, which was the center of the heat wave. Wow! Yi Lei suddenly stood up, and the ground behind him suddenly cracked a big hole. A fiery red rock-like hand stretched out from the crack and grabbed the ground beside him. In the shocked eyes of Han Nuan and the others, a rock giant crawled out and suspended behind Yi Lei. Yes, suspended because the giant's lower body does not have legs. Yi Lei opened his eyes and saw three people not far away. He smiled and walked over. Han's father subconsciously asked, "Xiaolei, what is this? What is the situation?" Yi Lei turned his head to look behind him and then said to the three people, "This is my second martial soul, Flame Lord." "Then it's okay." "Wait, second martial soul?" "Yeah, what's wrong?" "Uncle, don't forget, now it's a combination of game dimensions." "That's right." "Alright, let's go back first. Nuaner, hurry up and practice. Here are these beast souls for you, you and your uncle and aunt can use them together." As Yi Lei said, he handed the beast souls he had just collected to Han Nuan, and at the same time, he put a pearl fairy into Han Nuan's other hand. "This is the water dew that looks through autumn. Just take it all." After Yi Lei and Han Nuan separated at the entrance of the mall, they returned home. After Yi Lei arrived home, he did not forget to investigate around him. After all, he did not want to repeat the same mistake. Once confirmed, enter the door immediately. After returning to the room, Yi Lei began to check the system space because he needed a soul ring after awakening his second martial soul. Looking at the hundreds of soul rings in the system space, Yi Lei fell into contemplation at the same time. Mingyuan Garden. After Han's father and mother entered the door, they exchanged a glance. At this point, Han Nuan had not yet realized the danger and entered the door. Yi Lei decided to study the unique skills of the Tang clan tonight, and then took out ancient books from the system space. Turning to the first page, 4 large characters in golden color came into view. After seeing these 4 big characters, Yi Lei couldn't sit still. Because the 4 golden words are Purple Extreme Demon Eyes,